Chapter 2. It was time to call Mars 2. Lucilla sighed. Rosalie always needed a reminder. She punched the code and sent out her call Mars 2 to Mars 3. Lucilla here. Are you awake, Rosalie? Over. She waited 5 minutes and repeated the call patiently. On the third attempt, the icon of the pink rose appeared and she heard the reply, Mars 2 to Mars 3. Hi, Lucilla. Sorry I'm late. I've found this scrumptious new game in artificial reality. Rosalie tittered. I know you hate AR sims, but the games keep me amused. Not much going on here. The angels have developed more colors. Oxygen levels still rising. Over. My angels have turned green, yellow and orange. What colors are the ones at Station 3? Ooh, pretty. My angels are green and yellow. What do you think it means? I don't know. I'll have a better idea tomorrow, when I have the results for the DNA analysis of the new samples. Do you think they're mutating, Lucilla? Yes. Mutate is what bacteria do best. Lucilla smiled to herself. The real question was not if the angels were mutating, but what new features they were developing to cope with life on Mars. Okay, I'll wait for your results tomorrow. Bye, Lucilla. The signal terminated. Lucilla wondered if Rosalie had returned to her AR game. It seemed her chief entertainment between the routine observations and maintenance chores. Yet she wouldn't pass judgment. Each of the Martian observers had their own peculiarities, and Rosalie had lived alone on Station 2 for 8 years. She checked her list of chores for the day. The scientific observations were under control, although the full sequencing and analysis of the new angels would not be completed for several hours. The data were transmitted automatically to a backup comm on Phobos Station, and the scientists on Earth would receive their daily report after the usual few minutes of delay. 1 hour of exercise was the next item on her daily routine. Lucilla used the treadmill and the weights religiously to overcome the debilitating effects of the low gravity of Mars. Even so, after 4 years, she feared she was losing the fight to retain muscular strength. She might never be able to walk in Earth gravity again. But why would she want to return to Earth and endure the stares of pity or disgust whenever people saw her face? Her exercises completed, Lucilla flipped through the food catalog to decide what to generate for her evening meal. It hardly seemed worthwhile to prepare a special meal for one person. Unfortunately, the descriptions always sounded better than the actual taste of the flavored yeast and aeroponically grown vegetables. Perhaps she should be more adventurous and grow a larger variety of edible plants. After the first year, she had settled on soy and green beans, corn, tomatoes, and chard as the basic vegetables in the greenhouse. For dessert, she grew strawberries, blueberries, and kiwi fruits. Her robot helped in the greenhouse. Dev checked the water quality, the nutrients, and monitored the growth of her plants. The buzz of the comm interrupted her perusal of the menu items. Jasper's hawk avatar flapped across the screen. Lucilla stifled a pang of regret that she couldn't see his face. Of course she had met him. He had flown her from the orbiting spaceship down to her station on Mars. But they had both worn helmets and their faces were distorted by the visors. Cocking her head expectantly, she hit the switch and prepared to enjoy his call. The daily exchanges with Phobos Station added a comic touch to her life. Phobos to Mars 3. Jasper here with a song for Lucilla. Lucilla Silla la la la, he warbled in falsetto and then dropped into his normal baritone. How are you, Lucilla babe? Lucilla was torn between laughter and annoyance at his honeyed words. She cringed inwardly. He would never call her babe if he saw her scarred face. It was best to ignore his silly song and sweet words. Mars 3 to Phobos. Hello Jasper, I'm fine. Just the usual. Watching the angels grow. What's the news from the moon? Lucilla, I've been looking at your sequence data for the angels. The rate of mutation has increased. Do you have an explanation? She hadn't realized Jasper checked her findings and said, "We expected the angels to mutate as they adapted to the conditions on Mars. As long as they keep pumping out oxygen, everyone will be happy." Okay. Keep an eye on the mutations. We need to know how the angels are changing. Here's your Martian weather watch. The sensors show seismic activity to the west of your location. Your station should be out of range of the quakes. The ice caps are melting earlier than last year. Mac probably told you already. Mac never explains anything to me. He just said they were melting. I didn't know anything was different from last year. I guess the angels will enjoy the fresh water. Any other news? Supplies and new personnel arrive in 6 months according to my sources at Taxion Space. New people arriving. Is anyone leaving Mars? This was the first time she had heard of other people coming to the planet. I've no idea. I don't plan on leaving. Would you leave Mars 3 station, Lucilla? She shook her head, although he couldn't see her. No. I can't go back to Earth. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now. She ended their conversation quickly, shuddering in distress at the thought of returning to the crowded cities of Earth. When the comm shut off, Lucilla stared at the screen for several minutes, pondering Jasper's news. She didn't envy the new recruits. She had endured the year's voyage from Earth to Mars, alone for most of the time. Mixing with the crew was discouraged, and she had abandoned any attempt at friendliness after overhearing the whispers about her multicolored eyeballs. No, she was happier in her solitary dome on Mars 3. Next, she prepared her simple meal for the evening, activated the cleansing cycle, and set Dev on alert to monitor any abnormalities during the night. After one last check of the life systems, it was time for her to sleep.